People aged 75 and over are now eligible to receive a COVID-19 vaccine as the Commonwealth enters phase 2 of its vaccination rollout plan. We've got the latest on what to expect. It's been almost a month since the siege on the U.S. Capitol. Arlington youth share their own reactions to what happened on that fateful day. Thinking about a gift for someone special on Valentine's Day? Here's one idea: shop local. That and more on ACMi News.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered. We're your neighbors, a friend you can turn to. This is ACMi News.
Hello, Arlington, and welcome to this edition of ACMi News. I'm Paul Werlin. As of February 1st, Massachusetts entered phase 2 of its COVID-19 vaccination program. The state plans to add more vaccination sites and has set up an online booking portal on the state website to schedule vaccination appointments. Residents 75 years of age or older are now eligible to apply. ACMi News correspondent Isabel Litterst has the details.
Governor Charlie Baker held a news conference Wednesday at Fenway Park, one of the major vaccine distribution sites. He addressed questions about phase 2 of the vaccine rollout, which began on February 1st.
On vaccines, as of Monday night, 654,104 doses have been administered to residents, and over 1 million doses have been shipped to providers across the Commonwealth.
Phase 2 puts residents 75 and up at the top of the list for vaccination. Baker directed eligible residents to go to the mass.gov site to make an appointment for vaccination. Appointments, however, are limited, and he addressed citizens' frustrations about the pace of the rollout.
For people seeking appointments, everybody should understand that it may take several weeks in some cases to schedule an appointment. Please be patient and recognize and understand that everybody who's eligible during each particular phase of this will get an appointment and an opportunity to get vaccinated. Overall, that's about 120,000 new appointments that are being made available over the course of this week.
Baker predicts that the number of appointments will increase as more mass vaccination sites open up and as the Commonwealth receives more vaccines from the federal government.
While Baker pushes forward with the vaccination effort to protect citizens from the virus, he's rolling back certain COVID-19 restrictions, which he put in place 2 months ago.
There has been a dip in the number of COVID-19 cases and deaths in the new year, which Baker cited as a sign of improvement.
Progress in this battle against COVID and everyone's hard work and preparation is now making it possible for us to continue to step back to what we might call a new normal. All businesses that are currently limited to 25% capacity will be able to go to 40% capacity. In addition, the sector-specific rules for restaurants and close contact personal services, both of which were subject to the 25% capacity restriction that was adopted in December, will be updated to include the same 40% capacity requirement.
There is optimism about the lower COVID-19 infection rates and the start of phase 2. However, the majority of Mass residents are still susceptible to the virus. According to CDC-supported data, less than a quarter of the Mass population has either received the vaccine or has already been infected with COVID-19. For ACMi News, I'm Isabel Litterst.
As the pandemic continues to keep us apart, the Arlington-based group Broadband Collaborative aims to connect us through art. Their 8-week virtual experience highlights artists from all over the globe creating art for this moment.
When Kristen Canterbury Bagnall and Sarah Stackhouse formed Broadband Collaborative in 2020, it began with a simple idea.
I think audiences and artists need to connect right now. So we should do a show and bring artists together across the world.
From there, they have been able to create Latitudes, a virtual performance series that has pulled together a group of artists from different cultural backgrounds and disciplines to create a program for the now. One of the artists involved with the project is literary performer Reggie Gibson. He highlighted the connective aspect of Latitudes.
I think when we look at how much social distance we're forced to deal with, and physical distance we're forced to deal with, I think art is a way of shrinking that distance.
This was at the heart of the project for Bagnall and Stackhouse. The program was designed to be shared not only between artist and audience, but for everyone.
And so there's this sign of interconnectivity amongst audience members too that's really been hard to do during COVID, but that's what this program is for.
Knowing that the project would be presented virtually was ingrained in the creation of Latitudes.
We were able to invent something designed for this moment. So thinking about what is interesting about this medium, we all know the limitations, but actually what are the possibilities? And then designing for that has been really exciting.
The series slogan, You, Me, Us Now, plays into this idea.
And to say it's about where we find ourselves at this particular moment in time, right? You, me, us, now, at this moment in time. It will never come again.
The next performance premieres on February 11th and features Kenan Ozme, clarinetist and composer from Damascus, Syria.
And I think what we're going to do in February, it's going to be a very dynamic session of, exchanging ideas about music, but also listening to some music.
For ACMi News, I'm Ella Ward.
Thank you, Ella. For more information and to purchase tickets to Latitudes, visit broadbandcollab.com. The historic second impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump is set to begin soon, based on his role in instigating the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, an event we are all still grappling with. That includes many of Arlington's younger residents. As part of the youth-focused magazine show You View, host Sam Derringer spoke with two members of the Anti-Racism Working Group, or AWG, at Arlington High School about their reactions to what happened. Here's what Maya Patel-Massini and Noah Sweeter had to say.
Obviously, the mob that stormed the Capitol brought many blatant displays of racism with them. And I wanted to ask both of you, what was your reaction to this event that took place? And how does that further inform the work of the AWG as a whole?
So first, just seeing this in general was incredibly disgusting for me. It is by far the least democratic thing I've ever seen in my life. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat alike, we should all be agreeing that this is something that should never happen. It's basically like, it's like when kids don't get their way and they throw a temper tantrum. Like, sorry that the election, like, you lost, and this is how you show your anger through violence and raiding and destroying national property. Like, that's awful, first of all. Second of all, the fact that we see a Confederate flag inside the White House, the fact that we see people wearing the 6 million wasn't enough shirts, things like that, it's just so frustrating and makes it more prevalent than ever that we need things like the AWG. We need people who are showing that this stuff still exists. Everyone likes to say, like, oh, we don't need to worry about this anymore because the majority understands that Black lives do matter, blah, blah, blah. But clearly that's not the case. There's people out there who still think this and have very harmful ways of projecting what they believe. And just in general, like, for people who say, like, oh, we don't need to be as aggressive, not as aggressive, but as intense in the AWG, this is exactly why we do need to be intense about it.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. And I think this is where just the education comes into play, because I would bet that those people who stormed the Capitol carrying those racist flags and messages, they didn't get the education that we got at Arlington High School about diverse voices, promoting diverse voices, valuing, for example, Black people in our history, in the history of the United States. And so I think that's where education for example, public education comes into play. Also, I think looking at the Black Lives Matter protests and other peaceful demonstrations over the summer compared to the police response or the lack thereof, with armed people clearly racist and with messages of harm storming into the capital of our country, it was appalling that nothing was done, especially in contrast to what occurred over the summer, with people being shot with tear gas and rubber bullets for demonstrating, for exercising our First Amendment.
Peacefully protesting.
Yeah. And so I thought that was another thing that really came to light once again, just the difference in response.
Winter has been kind to us this year, given that the total snowfall is below the annual average for this time. Up until earlier this week, that is, when a good-sized nor'easter slammed the region, and more snow is expected in the coming days and weeks. ACMi's In-Young Kim highlights the storm's impact on Arlington and asks residents for their own thoughts.
Major snowstorms slammed the East Coast for the first time this year. Some states, including New York and New Jersey, declared a state of emergency.
Massachusetts was also hit by a severe snowstorm this week. Some areas, like the city of Lowell, received 2 feet of snow and other parts got more than a foot. Public transportation, vaccine distribution, and COVID-19 testing were all suspended for a time. Arlington Public Schools canceled Monday classes due to the storm, and a community-wide snow emergency and parking ban was in effect until Tuesday morning. ACMi hit the street to ask residents how the snowstorm affected their schedule.
I love the weather. Yeah, I love the snow. I don't mind shoveling it, so it's good exercise and it keeps me busy. Over the past couple days, I've probably shoveled for like 3 hours.
There was a lot of, I had 2 boys, so it was tough. They were supposed to be in school, but we had them home. It's okay. They enjoyed it. We dug out, but it's what we expect in New England, right?
We were well prepared. We live in New England, so we have enough food and our heating system worked, and we just enjoyed some family time. This one was really windy and it was a heavy storm, so it's a little scary at times because you could hear the branches coming down, so a little bit worried about power outages. But other than that, it felt like a less snowfall than the last storm. We expected a little bit more snow than we got, but it was still fun, and the town did a good job cleaning up.
After 10 years of living in Arlington, I finally went ahead and bought a snowblower for the last one, so that was good. So it turned out to be a good decision. So I think going forward, that will help me out. But you can never be totally prepared, but I think living around here, it's something you're used to.
Yeah, I don't know where we're gonna start putting all the snow, but we can't control Mother Nature. It's New England. The days are getting longer, the sun is getting brighter, and it will melt. So it's also really nice with community when it snows. Everybody's out, neighbors are helping neighbors. So that's another really nice part of the snowstorms.
After the snowstorm this week, more cold weather is forecast for the weekend. You can find safety tips for cold weather from the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency on the town's website.
More snow and freezing temperatures lie ahead. After all, it's February in New England. Stay warm. For ACMi News, I'm In-Young Kim.
Thank you, In-Young. And it appears that we'll be stuck with winter for another 6 weeks, according to Punxsutawney Phil, who saw his shadow on Groundhog Day this year. However, Phil also promised that we could be in for a beautiful spring, so let's hold him to that, shall we? The Roasted Granola, a popular cafe in the Heights, offers more than just fresh granola, sweet treats, and drinks. It also provides a host of opportunities for Arlington's youth and local artists that you might not expect. Our young colleagues at Arlington High were taken on a tour of all that Roasted Granola has to offer by a 12th grader who works there.
Hi, I'm Gracie. I'm a senior at Arlington High School, and I also work in the kitchen here at the Roasted Granola. Today I'm going to be taking you on a little tour of the cafe. Come on in. The important thing to note about the Roasted Granola is that we are first and foremost a granola company, meaning our main source of revenue comes from the granola that's made fresh right here in the kitchen. We sell generally 3 types of granola, which is original, hazelnut cacao, and my personal favorite, maple pecan. We also have a gluten-free granola option. In addition to granola, these shelves usually contain other yummy treats like maple pecans, fig bites, ginger bark, and other kinds of treats. This is the bar counter where we usually have 1 or 2 baristas on staff who make delicious bar drinks like lattes, cappuccinos, Americanos, you name it. We also have a pretty impressive tea selection. My favorite drink, I think, is probably either a hot vanilla latte or a spicy mocha. So before the COVID-19 outbreak, the cafe was open to customers to sit down and eat, but unfortunately, like a lot of other businesses, we can only do takeout at the moment. As you can see, we have a pretty vast cafe menu with items like grilled cheese sandwiches, avocado toast, any other kind of toast, soups, and then my favorite is making customizable bowls. So to order a bowl, you basically just select a base of your choosing, which is either oatmeal, yogurt, or smoothie. You then choose what kind of granola you want on top of that, and then you can do any kind of toppings of your choice. So we could do any kind of fruit really, coconut, roasted almonds, chia seeds, or just something to give the bowl a nice crunch. And then you can choose a drizzle to put on top of that. So for example, we do honey, almond butter, maple syrup, or even peanut butter. The Roasted Granola likes to support and promote local artists, which is why we almost always have some sort of art for sale in the cafe. Currently, we have some beautiful paintings for sale by local artist Patricia Crotty. The Roasted Granola is a really popular spot for high school youth and, as it turns out, a really popular employer of high school youth. Unlike a lot of other high school jobs, the Roasted Granola really gives youth the opportunity to gain autonomy and responsibility, and it really just launches them into some really unique leadership positions. Thank you so much for coming with me on a tour of the Roasted Granola Cafe. We are open Wednesdays through Sundays, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., and we're occasionally open until 5 p.m. for baked goods and bar drinks. For more information, you can visit roastedgranola.com about our hours and just the business in general. I absolutely love working here at the Roasted Granola, and I really, really hope you swing by for a bite to eat. I'm Gracie Walters, and this has been 8-Town Scoop.
Their website is roastedgranola.com, and you can follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Shop Arlington First campaign has been in full swing for a number of months now, and Valentine's Day inspired the folks at the Chamber of Commerce to come up with a fun way to remind residents that you can find everything you need right here in town. A series of greeting cards in Valentine's style convey the important message in whimsical ways. And don't forget, while you can certainly find a local treasure to stir the heart of that special someone, shopping Arlington First will be a good idea long after the roses and the chocolates are gone. A lot is happening at Arlington High School in this winter season like no other. Let's turn it over now to our Studio B crew for the latest Ponderscope.
Hello, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Ponderscope, your Arlington High School news, updates, and more. The second semester begins on Monday, February 8th. Classes on Monday are 20 minutes each, and there will be a meeting for each grade to discuss plans for the year. Freshmen will have their PE class. See the Daily Post for the full schedule. All of the Arlington High School Drama Guild's performances of Love and Information have been postponed until further notice. All tickets that were purchased for these showings will be honored on the new date, and refunds are available upon request. Stay tuned for more information. Fall 2 athletics registration is now open, featuring football, boys and girls track, girls swim, and girls volleyball. Registration for these sports is located at familyid.com. Tryouts will begin on February 22nd, and the tryout schedule will be posted soon. Email jbowler@arlington.k12.ma.us with any questions. Finally, the Robbins Library has a handful of events in February open to teens. Author Lynette Benton will be holding a 3-part writing workshop for Black, Indigenous, and people of color to share their stories of race in Arlington. There will also be a Zoom conversation with Robert Reich about his new book, The System, Who Rigged It, How We Fix It, and an artist talk with poet Charles Coe. For more programs and information, visit the events page at robbinslibrary.org. I'm Gabe Rothenberg, and that's all for this week's edition of the Ponderscope. Thanks for watching.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the ACMi Sports Update. We'll kick off this week's episode on the ice, where the girls' varsity hockey squad was back at home after a 2-week break to take on the Reading Rockets. After going down 2-1, the Ponders stormed back and tied things up at 2 with Amelia Skeezes' clutch goal in the second.
Off the draw, Piggott wins it. Puck loose in front, they score! Skeezes gets the loose rebound in front of the net. Great play by Piggott to center it off the draw. And Skeezes taps it in. The Spy Ponders tie things up at 2.
After a back and forth finish, the two teams ended in a stalemate, tying 2-2, as the girls on the ice stay undefeated on the year. They're back at home this Saturday to take on Winchester at 6 p.m. The boys on the ice were also on the road against Reading last week, and unfortunately they took a tough loss, falling to the Rockets 6-4. They return home next Wednesday for a rematch with Reading at 6. Now let's head to the court where girls basketball took on Winchester last week and were able to come out with a huge win, 46-43, in a very close game. They are back at home this Saturday at 1 p.m. to take on Reading. Boys basketball took on Winchester yesterday in a makeup game. After a hard-fought bout, the boys lost a close one by a score of 59-56. They're on the road this Saturday to take on Reading at 1, and then they return home next Tuesday for a rematch with the Rockets at 6. And that's all we've got for you this week. Make sure to head over to ACMi Sports on YouTube to catch all the home varsity games live. From ACMi Sports, my name is Nick Antonakis. We'll see you back here next week.
That will do it for all of us here today. Thank you for tuning in to this week's newscast. For the cast and crew of ACMi News, I'm Paul Werlin. We'll see you next time.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.